You are listening to the Season 7 premiere of Cosmic Cousins Soul-Centered Astrology. For grounding that ass from all the New Age sass. I am your host, Jeff Henshaw. Cosmic Cousins is a bi-weekly astrology podcast. It's released every new and full moon, and it's dedicated to honoring the interconnectedness of our universal family through embodied health, self-discovery, and deeper learning. Hey, Cosmic Cousins. Happy eclipse season. Happy New Year. Happy 2020. Happy new decade to you. Does anybody else feel like they're climbing up a mountain in a blizzard this Capricorn season? Because I know I sure am. There's lots of challenging obstacles coming my way, including recording this. Last time we met on the Capricorn new moon, I told you that the mic was messing up, and now I've purchased a new mic, and I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'm not going to bore you with these details because we've got a really exciting episode for you this week, and it's an exciting new season. Welcome to Season 7 of the show. It's going to follow suit to the same sort of vibe as Season 6. An episode will be released each new and full moon. And I've been enjoying this format of connecting with you through the moon cycles. I've heard back from some of you. You've said that you've really been enjoying it too. And so it's cool for me to be here and to hold space for you during these potent times of the month. Another thing that we do here on the show is, at least during Season 7, something that will carry over, is that we will be observing and connecting with the intersection of astrology and tarot. So tarot is a huge part of my practice and my background as an astrologer. It's a great tool that I use as a visual aid and for unlocking my intuition with certain transits. So if you're connected to the tarot and you enjoy this practice as well as astrology, then you can have your tarot deck handy, because I'll always be guiding you to look at some of the cards that are connected to the astrological transits that are happening in the sky right now. So if you'd like to look along with the cards, if you work with the cards, that's there for you too. So Season 7, we're going to keep following suit, but I do have a few other updates while we're here. I just recently created a Twitter account, which I know I'm like 10 years behind on that, but if you are looking for astrological transit updates and you're on Twitter, you can go ahead and follow me, cosmic_cousins. And I also have an Instagram for the show, which is cosmic.cousins, and both of those are linked up in the show notes. And I'm also an astrologer, full-time soul-centered astrologer, and I offer 90-minute readings, which can be birth chart readings or transit readings. And you can find more information at astrologycousins.com. We'll talk about your sun, moon, rising. We'll say what's up to all the planets in your chart. We'll have a check-in, see how they're doing. And my rates will be going up slightly in February, so if you've been wanting to book a reading, now would be a great time to do so. I think that's all the announcements I have for now, because we have a deeply emotional but also powerful and responsible episode for you all this week, because we've got that mega stellium action happening in Capricorn right now, and we have the full moon eclipse in Cancer. So Michelle Obama is our Queen of Cancer, our Queen of Capricorn. If you're new to the show, we worked on a project last year called Zodiac Queens. We crowned Michelle Obama our Queen of Capricorn. And so we have all these planets in this energy, and Michelle Obama and Capricorn, both of these energies are reminding us the importance of utilizing our platform to empower the collective to step up to the podium of their higher self, right? All of this is happening in Capricorn. But we also have this full moon in Cancer, and our Queen of Cancer is Frida Kahlo. And Frida Kahlo reminds us of the importance of intergenerational healing, of honoring our ancestors, of transforming our grief around relationship and motherhood through beauty and art. So both of these women we're just acknowledging, saying hey to today. So suns in Michelle Obama, moons in Frida Kahlo. So let's get into today's episode. We're going to start out talking about the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is following the eclipse. It's this Sunday, January 12th, and it's really important for us. So we're going to get into that. I want to talk about that first because I think the Saturn-Pluto conjunction is important for us to understand fully the invitation of the Cancer Full Moon, which the Cancer Full Moon Eclipse is taking place tomorrow if you're listening to this live, or Friday, January 10th, 2020. And so let's go ahead and get into it now. So the world is moving through a lot of major structural transformations. You're likely sensing this both within yourself and also around you. There's major shifts happening in our environment. There's a lot of things happening politically, and outdated patriarchal constructs are really being worked through at this time. This is no surprise to you. This has been going on since 2008 when Pluto entered Capricorn. And a lot of this has been the huge buildup towards the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. So this is taking place again. It's this Sunday, January 12th, 2020. This is the transit that astrologers have been talking about for years, which is just 2 days after the full moon eclipse. But I'm bringing it up first because it's so imperative for us to understand Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn in order to really understand the power of this potent Cancer full moon, which is on the opposite side of the wheel. So the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, this planetary alignment, it occurs only once every 36 years. So it's starting us off on a brand new cycle around Capricorn themes, since this is the sign that these two power planets are aligning in, and they are at the 22nd degree of Capricorn to be exact. So on a collective level, what this is indicating is that there is a collective relationship to government, which is Capricorn, right? Government, authority, responsibility, businesses, corporations, the environment. All of this is getting a makeover at this time. This is being upgraded. It's being transformed. So what we might be feeling in our own life and what we might be sensing in bigger groups of energy is that there's kind of like at this eclipse season, it's getting heightened. You may feel the pendulum swing from fear and contraction. And this is the parts of us that are clinging on to old modes. So we might see that with leaders who are clinging on to old modes out of fear. And then you can think of the pendulum swinging the other direction, and this is toward expansion and towards release. And so this is surrendering to the new, to the unknown, to a more sustainable way of being that is in alignment with Mother Earth. We got to think Capricorn is connected to the environment. So this is what's going on collectively. We feel it with things that are happening in Australia right now, and sending our love to Australia and to anyone who is located in that part of the world that's experiencing all the fires. But also anyone who is in Iran too, who has experienced any sort of upheaval in their life. We're also feeling that the reverberations of that in the United States. And not to get into too much of the politics, but we are feeling that. And so what this can do, these Capricorn themes are innately tied to Cancer, which is home and family and safety. Both Capricorn and Cancer are on this spectrum of safety and protection and honoring our ancestors. So Saturn, we'll start with Saturn when we look at this conjunction. Saturn is the planet of commitment. It's a planet of time. Saturn rules over the natural laws of nature. So this is the aging of the body. I call it the planet of adulting. So we can think this is both aging in the physical sense, but also aging in the spiritual sense. So in a lower form, Saturn is considered the planet of obstacles. Saturn entered Capricorn on December 19th, 2017. So think back to December of 2017. What was going on for you during this time? This was literally just 2 months before I moved to Los Angeles. And at that moment, I was living in the jungle of Hawaii. And that was season 1 of the podcast. So I was stepping up to the plate of my own authority to commit to having a podcast. That was the beginning of Saturn in Capricorn. And so Saturn is in Capricorn for roughly about a 3-year time period. Also during that time, that was when I was noticing a lot of structural things happening at the yoga center I was living at in Hawaii, and they eventually closed not too long after that because they couldn't keep up with whatever the new was, right? So a lot of businesses have been closing. I noticed in New York City this past week, Jivamukti, the yoga center, closed. And sorry for some of those that are just learning about this now, but it was sort of abruptly. And this is one of the oldest foundational institutions of yoga in New York City. And so for that to close, it's a big deal. And things are just like closing left and right now. And this is eclipse season. So we can feel that might be happening in the world around us. And there might be some sacred closeouts for us now too. And so this is a time for us to bow to whatever is leaving and open ourselves up to the new 36-year cycle. So Saturn, it's been in Capricorn. It doesn't leave entirely for good until the end of this year on December 17th, 2020. And so Saturn will go into Aquarius for just a little bit of time and then retrogrades back into Capricorn this year. And so this is a huge time period. This December 2017 to December 2020, this is a huge time of spiritual adulting for all of us. This Capricorn energy is a bit heavier. It's a bit more serious. It's connected more to the long-term planning, responsibilities, obstacles, but also making a lot of progress towards growth. So Saturn is at home in Capricorn, which is the way I like to say at home because it feels nicer and softer. Sometimes you might hear that Saturn in Capricorn is dominant, because Saturn is the ruling planet for Capricorn. So when Saturn is in Capricorn, it's dominant, or as I like to say, it's at home, which might be, you might feel that right now, that this is dominating the sky right now, this Saturn and Capricorn theme. So if you do have Saturn and Capricorn in your natal chart, this is a placement where you are really continuing to check back in with Saturn as a boss for you. And so those are the individuals that are going through their Saturn return right now. And so you are definitely feeling it, but all of us in the collective are feeling it. So learning the lessons of Saturn and Capricorn are important for us right now. And we're all getting a taste of that. So when we look at what's going on right now in the sky, it's like, oh yeah, Saturn is in Capricorn. Whenever a planet is in the sign it rules over, it's going to have a heavier influence on us. So it is a time of really committing to releasing outdated patterns that we have in relationship to authority, because we also have the South Node in Capricorn right now. And we know we have Pluto in Capricorn too. So let's talk a little bit about Pluto. So we got Saturn, right? But then Pluto is this little guy that packs a powerful punch. And Pluto stays in a sign much longer. It's a generational planet. So Pluto entered Capricorn on January 27th of 2008. This was right around in the United States when President Barack Obama was inaugurated. So you can go back to 2008. And so Pluto entered Capricorn at that time and stays in this sign until January of 2024. Right? So this is a much longer time period, right? This is like 16 years. So in an effort to take a look at what Pluto and Capricorn might mean for both the universe and for you on an individual level, let's take a look at just one event that occurred during Pluto's previous time in Capricorn. So last time Pluto was in Capricorn, this was the American Revolution, and this is when Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers of the American Revolution, first penned in the American Constitution that all men, and I'm going to include women here, all humans, have the pursuit of happiness as one of their intrinsic inalienable rights. And so at that time, the idea of a person's personal happiness was a radical one. But it was also this time of transforming your own authority. So this is a time period that we're experiencing that. The United States is coming up on its Pluto return, not until 2022. But this whole time period, Pluto is the underworld. It is the ruling planet for Scorpio. It is the deep subconscious realms. It's transformation, right? So this is transformation in all Capricorn themes: government, business, corporations, with daddy, with authority. So it is a time to be your own daddy in many ways. So ruling planet Saturn meets up with Pluto. And this is what's starting a new 36-year cycle. So we can look back in history to see what has happened during this conjunction. And I'm not going to go back too far in history, but I can say that the previous time that Saturn and Pluto met in the sky, this is when HIV was an epidemic. So normally this conjunction is connected to some major thing that's going on the planet. Saturn is structures and Pluto is transformation to the structures. It's been a placement that is often connected to some sort of like war that's happening on the planet or some sort of planetary shift. And so it is a big energy that we're moving through right now. And we can, from a soul-centered perspective, from an evolutionary perspective, the physical environment in which we are in is going to represent some sort of psychological patterns that we might have that are arising at this time. So this polar sign of Cancer is important for us to understand this Capricorn. So really connecting to your family of origin and noticing how that has greatly shaped your relationship to your Capricorn qualities. So how were you raised? What were your parents like? How were you nurtured? And what sort of expectations were placed on you? What sort of morals and ethics were instilled in you? And are those in alignment with the person that you're evolving to become and for the future that you see for this planet? And so for me in my own life, I know that I grew up in a family that was very Christian and had a certain set of way that you were supposed to get a job, supposed to do X, Y, and Z to complete whatever it is that is your status as an adult. And I'm working through all of that right now. I'm really, in many ways, having to figure it all out on my own as my own parent, as my own adult. So it is this adulting because I'm carving out a path that is much different from the way that I was raised, and also figuring out my own relationship to the environment and my connection to the community at large and what it means to be a queer person that is stepping up and utilizing my voice on a platform. So these are all themes that many of us will be feeling into right now. And Capricorn, we have to remember, is a collective energy. It's collective earth. Taurus is our personal earth sign. Virgo, interpersonal earth. Capricorn, collective earth. So this is about all of us together and uplifting and supporting one another. And so I'm really feeling that right now. I feel that majorly here in the astrology community, especially on Instagram, both astrology and the tarot community, that we're all supporting each other. We're all lifting each other up at this time. And so this joining together is important for us to understand the Cancer full moon, right? Because the Cancer full moon is opposing all of it. And so why don't we go ahead and get out some of the tarot cards so that we can connect with them so that you might be able to visualize this. So for Capricorn, you can get out the Knight of Pentacles, which is cardinal earth. You can get out the Devil card, which is the soul growth for Capricorn. And you can also get out the World card, which is Saturn. And why don't we just go ahead and get Judgment out too, which is Pluto. So those are the Capricorn energies that we've got going on in the sky. Just some of them. We're not even talking about Jupiter on this episode, but we'll do that another episode, I promise. And then for Cancer, it's going to feel polar here, right? The opposite side of the wheel. Cancer is the High Priestess, which represents the moon. We've got the Knight of Cups, which is cardinal water. And then the Chariot, which is soul growth. So these are our cards here. Let's start with, why don't we start with the Knights? I think the Knights are a great place to start. So when we look at the Knight of Pentacles. This is Capricorn, cardinal earth. The Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight, is very stout, is planted, the feet are in the ground. It's usually a darker horse. There's usually rolling hills in the background. It almost looks like farmland. And the knight is looking off on the horizon of all of the green. So there is this feeling here in the Knight of Pentacles of looking out to a long-term plan, trusting that the seeds that you planted are going to grow and that you'll be able to harvest them and you'll be able to make money. So it's a very conservative energy. It's very resourceful. It's connecting us to all of the Capricorn feels. Knight of Cups comes along because the full moon's coming in. So we can imagine that the Knight of Cups trots on in and is going to have a conversation with the Knight of Pentacles. And so the Knight of Cups is delivering connection. We can think the cups is our way of connecting in relationship. The Knight of Cups is delivering, all the knights are delivering something, but the Knight of Cups is delivering some sort of nostalgia, our romance, our emotion. So the Knight of Cups offers an emotional approach to action. Knights are action, whereas the Knight of Pentacles, Capricorn, is a practical approach to action. So what is the Knight of Cups here to offer to the Knight of Pentacles? So within his reigns, the Knight of Cups has this powerful force, this ability to cleanse past hurt, to heal complicated relationships. So he's inviting the Knight of Pentacles into an empowered space where he learns to harness his more watery or emotional or even psychic energy, so that he can move forward to create a beautiful, harmonious relationship. So already the Knight of Cups is asking you, okay, this is a serious time. We have all this Capricorn energy. What are the relationships that you're fostering right now? What is your connection to those who are connecting you more to this energy of kinship or connection? Knight of Cups is saying to the Knight of Pentacles, it does not have to be all about work. It's also quite spiritual. So here for this Cancer full moon, there's an invitation that's saying, don't just take action that's practical. Also take action that is from your heart, that is guiding you from a more intuitive place. So it is a time to drop into our intuition and follow the rhythm of the moon. If you are, and this has happened for me today, a lot of things weren't lining up. I've had a lot of health things happening over this eclipse season as well that haven't allowed me to step up to the plate and work and be the responsible human that I want to be, that Capricorn might be inviting us into right now. And so it is an invitation into self-care for sure. And we're going to feel that too when we look at the world card, which is Saturn, next to the moon, which is the High Priestess. Interesting. The world card for Capricorn is showing that collective energy. The world card is about karmic closeouts. It is the last card of the tarot journey. It shows a woman in the sky who's dancing naked, and she's got a laurel wreath around her, which is cool because Capricorn is connected to this time of year where we put wreaths in our home too. And so this is the ruling planet. Saturn is the world card in the tarot. But then the High Priestess comes in, which is the moon, Cancer's ruling planet. And what might the High Priestess say to the world? The High Priestess is here on Earth, whereas the world card is levitating. She is sitting in front of a veil, and behind her is water, and she's holding the scroll, which I often think of as the Akashic Records. So she holds the DNA of the entire universe in the palm of her hand. The High Priestess is saying, okay, let's tune into the deeper ancestral energy to the karmic closeout that you're moving through. So for me in my own life, I am moving through this huge cycle with my car. So this is cool too, to just connect with the previous eclipse seasons. And so we had eclipse season last Capricorn season on this Cancer Capricorn axis, and then we had it again during Cancer season. So Capricorn season of 2019, Cancer season of 2019, and then we're having it again, Capricorn season 2020. I got a car last Capricorn season, and I moved it from the East Coast. I took a road trip to the West Coast. That was a huge upgrade. So eclipses are going to bring us upgrades oftentimes. They're either going to release something out or they're going to bring something in. And so I got a car, I drove it across the country. That was the first eclipse, Cancer Capricorn. And by the way, Cancer rules over cars. And you'll see that with the Chariot soul growth card for Cancer. Right? It's like the little crab shell. And then I was driving it through the mountains as I was moving out west, which is Capricorn. So I got the car. Then last Cancer season is when I got in a car accident. And my insurance did not cover because I had an insurance that was pretty minimal for me at that time because of that was what I could afford. So got in a car accident. Then that car accident was also when I was writing my Aries book. I moved to New York City because I wanted to go back home to what felt like home, right? Cancer North Node taking us towards home. And my car has been hanging out here in LA in a friend's driveway. And so then I'm back here in LA right now recording this for you all. And I was reunited with my car last night for the first time in a few months. And there's just something with these points. It's just interesting how that lines up. And I'm back here in LA, and I'm like, oh wait, LA also feels like home. But I needed to go back to the East Coast to work through some family stuff. So again, we're starting to feel into all of these themes and how they're connected to family and also our responsibility. Capricorn could be connected to purchasing a car, like something big that you're committing to, right? So I'm feeling into all of these themes, but it was also directly linked to my work and my public offering. So I wrote that book during Cancer season last year. During the eclipse, I eclipsed in a book. And then now the book has been published during this eclipse season. And it's funny because I just got a text right before I sat down to record this that my roommate, that was my roommate in LA, sent me a picture of all of the books, the author copies. So they sent me 25 author copies. And they sent it to my LA address when I asked them to send it to my New York address. But I happen to be in LA right now, so I'm going to go pick them up tomorrow. And so it's just interesting, right here on this Cancer full moon, I'm receiving my 25 author copies of the book that I wrote during Cancer season eclipse, and now it's Capricorn season eclipse. So anyway, all of that to say, that's a lot of sidetrack details there for you with my story. Notice what's going on, what happened during these 3 times. And this is the last time that we're going to have this Cancer Capricorn eclipse polarity. And then the nodes of fate will move into Gemini North Node, Sagittarius South Node. And then for the next year and a half, we're going to be eclipsing out Sagittarius and eclipsing in Gemini. So for you that are Cancer or Capricorns, you'll likely really be feeling this quite strongly in your life. But I'm also feeling it, and I'm not a Capricorn or a Cancer, so I think it would just depend on who you are. And I know for me, as someone who is an astrologer and is deeply empathic, I'm very sensitive to the energy. So anyway, we're looking at the High Priestess, and she is connecting us to hidden truths, whereas the World card is more very conscious of what's going on in the group energy, is conscious of what's going on in the world. So we might find here in this world energy that we are becoming very interested in the world at large. High Priestess is always an invitation to come back to yourself. She connects us to the deeply psychic and mystical side of Cancer, reminding us to treat our body as a temple, right? She's a symbol of purity, fertility, duality. She is the lunar feminine archetype. And so she's sitting peacefully in meditation. This could be a great invitation for us at this time, or to take in all of the outdated things that we're releasing and all the karmic closeouts that are happening here in this sort of world energy of Capricorn, and to integrate it, to sit peacefully and breathe it all into us. And also to notice that maybe it's not just our karmic patternings that we're moving through, but also perhaps our mothers or our grandmothers or anything on the matriarchal line Cancer is connecting us to. And then we can look at the Chariot card. The Chariot is soul growth for Cancer. And we can look at it next to the Devil, which is the soul growth card for Capricorn. So soul growth card for Capricorn, the Devil is, there's so many themes that we could get into that. And maybe at some point I'll do a workshop on the Devil card, because I get a lot of questions about that. But the Devil is an energy that Capricorn can work with, because Capricorn represents the accomplishments of the material, its quest for prestige. So Capricorn is learning about not emerging from a moral high ground, not selling one's soul to the system for achievement. So the devil as soul growth, it reminds Capricorn, one, of their innate mastery over the physical realm, but also as a reminder for Capricorn to loosen their reins on code of ethics, and also their chains of control and order on other people, or perhaps loosen the chains of being controlled by an authority figure. That's the devil energy. But Chariot's coming in soul growth for Cancer. And so the Chariot here is this, we see it's a kind of androgynous figure that's sitting in what appears to be a chariot, but it's also a cement block. So it feels kind of still. And then there's two sphinx in front of the chariot. And then there's a star canopy above. And there's also two moon shoulder pads on the chariot. And so the chariot, it symbolizes this sacred pause and the stillness of preparation before the initiatory phase of the fool's journey, which is going into the underworld. So we're about to go into the subconscious. And so it's here that our charioteer learns to align their willpower not with force or ambition, but with more of an intuitive confidence. So the chariot is actually saying to us at this time, soul growth for Cancer, of allow yourself to explore this deeper emotional realms. Allow yourself to go into the depths and ask yourself, what is the desire that's underneath? And so as Cancer evolves, we're learning how to honor our emotions and to move in a more intuitive way. Again, Cancer is coming to us at this time to say we don't necessarily have to work in this linear mode of existence. That time is more of an illusion here in the realm of this water, cardinal water energy of Cancer. So there is a strength of tenderness. There is a calm security. There is a kinship within the self and within others. And so this Cancer full moon, it brings to the surface the emotional transformations that are taking place underneath the surface of all of the structural changes that are happening around us. So dreams are likely to be very heightened this week, particularly ones that connect you to your grandmother or your matriarchal line of your family. So be open to messages from the subconscious realm. For me, what I've been moving through is that I've been having really heightened dreams, and my aunt has been coming up in them. And my aunt is someone in my family that has not spoken with my mother in a few years. And as I was tuning into that, I was feeling the energy of my grandmother asking me to perhaps build a bridge between these two individuals that haven't communicated. So I'm sitting with it. I don't know if that's something that I'm willing to do at this moment in time or not, but I'm dedicating my entire weekend to family stuff. I'm carving out space to meditate, tune in to my grandmother who's passed away. I'm breathing into the hurt of the brutal past of this country. The United States is a Cancer with a Pluto and Capricorn. Dedicating this weekend to self-care. I'm going to try to go to the spa. I'm going to maybe try to book a massage. I'm just really taking sweet, gentle care. And also spending extra time to just be in this more ancestral and familial energy. And that's what the Chariot is inviting us into. The Chariot is this willpower to go into the subconscious realms. And so it's not always easy work being a witch, but here we are. So, right, think the moon is Cancer's ruling planet. So we may really be aware of karmic cycles that we are moving through and that we are aware of them. So we have the opportunity to break ourselves free from them at this time during this eclipse. It's a powerful time. So invite peace into your heart around these themes of family, of home, of mother, of ancestral healing. If your body is aching at this time, you can ask yourself, is this mine or am I holding on to ancestral pain? There's a lot of pain on the planet right now, and Cancer is reminding of us of this. So, right, it's the mother energy. It's taking care. So, of course, for anyone, if you're a Capricorn, if you're a Cancer, you may be feeling this around your self-identity or in your relationships. I know Capricorns, it's probably more about yourself. Cancers, it could be you might know people who are moving through this. So just holding space for others in an interpersonal way. If you're finding that you're not moving through a lot of these more emotional themes, maybe you are the caretaker, Cancer. Maybe you're offering intuitive or emotional support for others, inviting people into the comfort of your home. So some of us might be playing the Cancer role at this time too. And again, either way, whatever it is that you're playing, both of these serve as an invitation to drop into self-care, taking care of other people, taking care of yourself, breathing deeply. So we can take a deep, nourishing inhale into the part of the body that Cancer rules over, which is the rib cage. So breathing into the rib cage, you can also breathe into the breast, which is another part of the body that Cancer is connected to. And just notice what that feels like for you. This is a window to more intuitively connect to the energy of Cancer. And Cancer is teaching us to love the pain of the past, to love the pain of the present with all of our heart, to love those that are around us. So I have a cool story for you. It happened on my way to LA, actually. I just remembered it. It just came to me now. But it's very Chariot, it's very High Priestess, it's very Knight of Cups. So I'm on my way. I booked a red eye because it was a cheap flight that I could get from New York to LA. So I'm leaving my apartment in the East Village at like 4 a.m. There's no one out on the street. It's dark outside, right? It's like the witching hour. And so I'm walking through the East Village to Astor Place. I'm walking down St. Mark's Avenue, if you know it. Not a single soul. I've never seen St. Mark's that dead before. And so I'm walking to Astor Place, and some of you might know that black cube that's at Astor Place. And so the black cube is actually a symbol for Saturn. It's the Saturnian black cube, and there's many throughout the world in different major cities. So I say hey to the Saturn cube. I'm like, hey Capricorn, hey Saturn, what's going on? And then guess what? I go underground into the underworld, right? So the underworld is the subconscious realm. Metaphorically speaking, when you go down into the train system, you're like the Chariot, right? You're going into the underworld, and you're also getting on a chariot. You're getting on the subway. But before I enter the threshold, past the gate, there's a gatekeeper, which is the MTA worker who is in the box, right? And so before I swipe my card, the MTA worker says to me through the speaker, and it comes out, it's like really staticky, right? And so the MTA person, whoever's working, says to me, is it snowing outside? And I sort of stopped, and I was like, no, it's not snowing outside. And he says, isn't this weird? We have countries on fire, and we have wars going on in the Middle East. Isn't this weird? Something like that. And I just sort of listened to him. I just nodded. And then he said, it's so important for us right now to love each other, to love strangers, to look people in the eyes. And I just listened to him. He continued to go on, and he ended up wishing me a happy new year. And then he swiped me through. I didn't have to pay for the train ride. And he said, this is courtesy of the MTA. Thank you for stopping and listening to me. And I couldn't help but see this man that was working, who was a Middle Eastern man that was working here in the MTA, right? Nighttime, subconscious realms, underground, as this sort of high priestess figure that was offering me some intuitive wisdom. And if it had been at any other time of the day, there would have been other people around. It would have been busy. I would have probably just been on my way to an appointment, so I wouldn't have listened. But the fact that it was like late night or early morning, I didn't even include this part, but I actually, before I got to the subway, I was woken up by the energy of the night, and I meditated for like an hour before I went to the train. And so I was already in this very Cancerian mystical space. So it doesn't even have to come from the subconscious realms. Maybe it is actually someone around you that is playing the role of the High Priestess right now, that is helping to align you with your greater intuition. And maybe even just you tuning into this right now is a part of that, carving out some sort of space in your life to realign you with these more cosmic truths that are also supporting and nurturing your process to go into these deeper parts of yourself. And so you might be feeling into the hurt of past lifetimes or other people's. There's a lot of opportunity for healing at this time. So just really thank you for being present and being here. Again, Cancer is teaching us to love the pain of the present, to love the pain of the past with all of our heart. And we can think of the oyster who transforms an irritant into a pearl. The irritant gets in the shell, and instead of kicking the irritant out, the oyster loves that irritant until it becomes a beautiful pearl. And so if you're feeling any pain in your body, if you're feeling any pain of what's going on in the world right now, just sitting with it and loving it and being present with it is all that we need to do at this time, at least for this weekend. And then, of course, there's other invitations for us throughout the year. But for now, I just want to say thank you for being here. Remember this Cancer full moon, it's bringing to the surface emotional transformations. So pay attention to your dreams, reach out to loved ones, soul family, blood family, build an altar to your ancestors if it calls to you. Major self-care vibes. Thank you as always for tuning into the show, Cosmic Cousins. If you'd like support during this time, I have openings for astrology readings on my website, astrologycousins.com. You can rate, leave 5 stars, a review, whatever you feel like doing. And I'll see you next time. Take sweet care, cousins, and remember, deep breaths.